anymore. We're just going to get into this because we've got so much to talk about. Now, before we get to City, I'm going to talk about events leading up to the game. And that was obviously, let's say, what we can only be considered, again, just chaos, wasn't it? Tottenham fiasco. Conte did an interview to the Italian media. And obviously, after that interview, things just got chaotic for a few days, didn't they? They're lost in translation. Everybody was kind of worrying about what they had seen and what had come out from Conte in that interview. But I think it's clear to say that there's a good chance that it was all misinterpreted. Conte even came out and kind of put that all to bed, which was great to see a manager do, because a lot of the time these sort of rumours can just dwindle on, can't they? Be left unmentioned. But Conte came out straight away, put it all to bed. But before I do that, we're just going to show you a little tweet that was put out, because we're going to just discuss whether the panel think there's a little bit of a media agenda against Spurs. We're just going to put up a tweet from Matt Law, and this was a tweet that Matt put out even after Conte had put everything to bed, just by Max there in the corner. And Matt Law has written, "Not sure telling your Italian manager not to give interviews to Italian media because you're a bit upset with what he said and how it was reported is an excellent idea. Seems a bit thin-skinned too, given all of it was true and it really wasn't that controversial." Now, that's after Conte has come out and basically put it all to bed, saying, listen, I was misinterpreted. Everything's good at the club. So, Max, I'm going to come to you first on this, being our guest. Do you think there's possibly a media agenda at the moment that just the media always like to try and upset Spurs and just make sure that we never can go into anything smoothly? There's always the rumblings, obviously, that every manager's falling out with Daniel Levy. What's your viewpoint on this, Max? Do you think there is a little bit of an agenda there going against the club?
I think it's easy to say, yeah, because obviously we're Spurs and just it always seems like there's things that just don't go Spurs' way at times. But when it comes to managers, obviously we've had some big managers recently, like with Mourinho and that, and they know that it hasn't worked. So they're going to try and get under Conte's skin, because they know, imagine if it's two world-class managers that it fails with, it's like, well, that's the Tottenham story, isn't it? So the media just love to try and get behind anything like that and just try and stir. I mean, of course, Conte is going to talk to like his native countries and sports places like about Spurs, and it's always going to be interpreted a little bit different, isn't it? So to what the English media. I mean, think about any story about Harry Kane. He can score a hat trick at the Etihad, and they'll still try and say, "Oh, it was only like a 6 out of 10 performance." You know what I mean? It's because it's Tottenham. I think as well, going into a big game like that, they're probably trying to get behind, like under their skin, and just try and rattle the players and rattle the manager. But it also comes down to Conte speaking his mind at times. He actually speaks what he wants. He says what he wants. And you see fans saying, oh, well, maybe he shouldn't be doing this, doing that. And well, no, because we want to be seeing this. He's a manager. He's got character, as you can see of him on the touchline. This is like, we'd love to see that. It's like the 12th man. And then it's so frustrating. You just want your manager to be able to actually lead the team, manage it how he wants, and not by the upper, not by the board, not by Levy. You don't want none of that. We want to play under Conte. We want his football. They're all listening to him. They're all happy. I mean, Kane's come out and said he's happy, haven't they? And this is the media again trying to say he's not happy, or they're going to try and force a move to City. And I can't be bothered with it. It's every season. It's every manager. It's so boring.
I think it obviously becomes an easy target, don't we? Because of, if you like, the rumblings of previous transfer windows and managers and comments that they've said. I think and obviously Levy is known as being a ruthless chairman and tries to get, penny pinch on deals if he can, and tries to undercut everything. So, Ryan, do you think that it's because of that the media obviously think, well, we'll just try, it's an easy opportunity to try and stir the pot. We always, Conte came with this view that if he doesn't get what he wants, he's going to leave. So do you think the media have latched onto that and think, well, this is just going to be an easy headline to pump out every week, and especially if Tottenham lose, that it'd be like, well, the squad's not good enough. Conte's probably not happy. If he doesn't get what he wants in the summer, he'll leave. Are we an easy target?
I think that would be the same if we still had Ryan Mason in charge. That's just how they are with us, to be honest. Like Max was saying a minute ago, Conte's got one filter. He's not going to change how he is with journalists or anyone. But it's not just journalists that do it about Tottenham. I mean, if you listen to the Gary Neville podcast, Martin Tyler asked him if Harry Kane used that as an audition for both Manchester clubs in the summer. I mean, I don't see what type of question that is to ask after he's just got 2 goals, the winning goal at the Etihad. You don't have to bring up a move to either Manchester club. Just talk about his performance, talk about the team's performance. Like I say, you're going to get more interviews like that from Conte, but fans need to decide what they want now, because they wanted a manager who will call out the board if he doesn't feel like he's being backed. But then he calls out the board and they're unhappy that he said something to the public. You can't have it both ways. If you want him to call out the board and say what his fans are feeling about the transfers, selling players, buying players, or you want him to be quiet and become a puppet for the board like we've had before, there's only one option. I'd rather him be as he is, have interviews with the Italian media and say exactly how he's feeling, because maybe that's something that Levy is not actually used to. I mean, Mourinho didn't do that as much. He used to always compliment the squad that he had. He might have been upset with transfers, but he used to say he loved the squad that he had. His squad was brilliant, whereas Conte's actually telling you the truth of, we could have strengthened a bit more in January. We let 4 players go, only brought 2 in. You could have done more. I'd rather him do that, but whoever's manager, they're going to target Tottenham. We could do the Premier League and Champions League double in a season. They'll still find something to complain about with Tottenham.
I remember, like as you say, the Harry Kane stuff reminded me of Poch at the time, didn't he? I remember one game on Sky when I think United were possibly going to be looking for a manager. And I think, if I remember rightly, Sky just literally spent the whole game basically just bigging up Pochettino. Was he going to United? Is this his audition for United job? And it was just like, listen, this is a Spurs game. Can we talk about the game rather than Poch going to United? Patrick, what's your views? What do you think the media? Do you think they like to try and hit us with the big stick and just try and keep upsetting the apple cart, just to try and give, upset the club, knock us out of our momentum?
Yeah, I think we're easy targets. Out of the big 6 clubs, we're the smallest club, and the media love to throw that at us. Before, it used to be, before when we were doing well under Pochettino, it was always, are their players going to want to leave? They don't pay the wages. Then we started increasing everyone's wages. Then it was something else. Then obviously we didn't win for a while, so players will want to leave to win trophies. Then, like you said, they were trying to literally sell Poch to every big club. Every second. Then the transfer window would open, and is Harry Kane leaving? What's going to happen there? The Harry Kane saga now seems to be behind us, so it's basically Conte's unhappy, and all these journalists keep coming out with quotes and keep basically. Conte's come out, like you said, Carl, and pretty much put it to bed and said, this is not what I said. I explained it here. It got lost in translation. Then you see a journalist then turn around and say, oh, how can you tell Conte not to talk in Italian? And it's just crazy. No matter what happens, they will spin it. And even, I can't remember the name of a journalist. I think it was Matt Lowe again. Then pretty much Conte come out, said what he said. And he was like, oh, but Conte never said that he's not going to leave in the summer. Like, he never even addressed that issue. Why even putting that into the headline? So no matter what happens, they know that our chairman is what he is, love him or like him, whatever that is, that's another topic for another day. But because of who he is, it's easy to turn the chairman against the manager, and they'd love to do that. And just as we're finding form and momentum, I know we've had the 3 losses, but before then, things were going well. So what can they do to upset us? They throw that out there. We just beat Man City. Why is not everyone talking about the game and the performance? Yet they try and find another problem. And for me, I don't want to be on here acting like victims, because, at the end of the day, we create our own narrative. But it is annoying when every time you open Twitter or turn the media on, there's something negative about us. Just give us the praise and credit for the game, and then talk about the Burnley game, or talk about Harry Kane's performance, or how good Son was, or how good Romero was, or how good we were as a unit. But yet they want to talk about Kane possibly moving in the summer. Now, as you said, Carl, they're talking about possibly Manchester United buying him. Then I'm seeing something about, if Lukaku continues like this, Harry Kane will be on their radar. I'm like, what? What's going on? They just spent 100 million on a striker. Why are you talking about Harry Kane to Chelsea? It's ridiculous. So I mean, it it is frustrating. But it's
Kane to United is, you know, say if the guy wants to win trophies, then I don't think United
not
right now are going to
exactly.
be the club that are
And no
gonna
shade
feel
to
they-
United, they're a massive club, but why would he go there? It doesn't make no sense.
At the moment, you don't go to Man United and get instant success. That's
Exactly.
it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it's another project.
it's
like
another
ours.
project. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I think this is going to be something, isn't it, guys? That it's just going to rumble, isn't it? Because the closer we get to the end of the season, we'll start to get is Harry Kane going to leave? We're going to start to get if Conte doesn't get his back in, is he going to walk in the summer? So it's going to get worse, isn't it?
Sorry to interject. I think if we get top 4, a lot of it will be deaded because they're nowhere in the Champions League. We can attract a higher caliber player. And Kane has come out and said, as long as we compete, as long as we're in the Champions League, he's happy to stay here. So if we get Champions League, it will kind of get watered down a bit. If we don't, God help us, because they will.
Yeah, we're in trouble if we don't.
Yeah, we're in big trouble.
Yeah, Project Holly's there, Project Art too.
Exactly.
We always go back to a